Welcome back to Stoic Pathways. She'll never say it aloud, not with words, not in the way you might expect, but in the stillness between her sentences, in the glance that lingers 1 second longer than usual, in the subtle shift of her breath. She's telling you everything. The problem is, most men never learn how to listen to what isn't spoken. Here's something to write in the comments right now. The unspoken holds more power than the words we say. Think about that. Let it echo. And before we unlock the ancient truths in this video, pause and give it a like. Not for me, but for the part of you that's tired of surface-level advice. For the part of you craving depth, clarity, and real transformation. Every like tells the algorithm, this message matters, and it does. There are things a woman truly desires, things she longs for you to understand. But society has conditioned her to stay silent. She's been told it's too needy to ask, too vulnerable, too much. And so, she hides her sacred needs behind smiles and silence, waiting for a man not who can read her mind, but one who can read her soul. This is not a typical relationship video. This is ancient wisdom through the lens of Stoicism, where emotion doesn't mean weakness and self-control doesn't mean indifference, where understanding a woman becomes not a game, but a sacred study, the art of presence, the mastery of perception. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "If someone can show me that what I think or do is not right, I will happily change, for I seek the truth. But what if the truth you need isn't written in books or spoken in words, but lived, felt, and quietly known?" In this video, we're diving into 4 hidden truths. 4 things women want from you that they will never, ever say. Not because they don't trust you, but because they've been taught not to trust themselves. Yet when you embody these truths, when you align your actions with this ancient knowledge, something powerful happens. She softens. She feels seen. She feels safe. We're going to unravel each of these truths like an ancient scroll, slowly, reverently, with care. You'll discover how these silent desires trace back to the Stoics, to the mystics, to the forgotten wisdom of the ancients. You'll see how knowing them doesn't just change your relationships, it changes you. Your presence becomes medicine. Your silence becomes strength. Your understanding, a form of devotion. So, stay with me. Because what you're about to learn doesn't just open her heart. It awakens something within yours. And that, my friend, is where true power begins. Centuries ago, in the hushed halls of ancient Greece and Rome, where philosophers walked barefoot under starlit skies, speaking not just of virtue, but of how to be, something profound was understood, the art of presence. They knew that to truly perceive another's soul, one had to first master their own. Stoicism was never meant to make a man cold. It was meant to make him clear. And within this clarity lies a sacred truth. Most men are so distracted by the noise of the world, they forget how to listen to the whispers of a woman's heart. But the Stoics, they knew better. They knew that wisdom isn't found in dominance or volume, but in restraint, perception, and presence. Seneca once wrote, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Now imagine how many moments have passed where you thought she was fine, and when in truth, she was silently unraveling. How often have you believed the silence meant peace, when it was actually a call for you to pay attention without her needing to speak? The ancients believed in observing more than reacting, in studying the subtle. This wasn't just philosophy, it was survival. In a world filled with chaos and war, the man who could discern truth without it being spoken held true power. And in the realm of love, the same rule applies. Now, this is not about decoding every look or turning every sigh into a riddle to solve. This is deeper. This is about understanding the sacred dance between the masculine and feminine, a balance as old as time. A woman wants to feel you seeing her, not just looking at her. She wants to feel your stillness, not just your strength. And she wants your depth, not just your direction. The tragedy is, modern men are trained in tactics, not in truth. They memorize lines, they play roles, but deep down, they're starving for something real. Stoicism brings you back to that, not as a performer, but as a presence. And here's the mystery. The 4 things women most crave from you are not grand gestures or gifts. They are simple, subtle, sacred. Yet, because they're unspoken, they're missed. lost in translation, dismissed as irrelevant. But they're not irrelevant. They're ancient, and they're everything. Plato once said that learning is simply remembering what the soul already knows. As you watch this video, you won't just be learning, you'll be remembering, tapping into a deeper part of yourself that already understands how to lead, how to listen, how to love, not from fear, but from stillness. This knowledge has been buried under centuries of distraction, forgotten rituals, and lost rites of passage. But it is not gone. It waits in the silence, in the spaces between the words, in the wisdom of those who are ready to receive. And so, we begin. The first thing she wants you to do, but will never ask, is to lead with grounded certainty. Not control, not dominance, but inner rootedness. She wants to feel that you are anchored, not just in the world, but in yourself. Because when a man is at war within, a woman cannot feel safe around him. And safety is not about locking doors or earning money. It's about energy, presence, integrity. Imagine a river, powerful, flowing, purposeful. Now, imagine its banks, steady, still, holding space without interrupting the flow. That's what she longs for from you, to be the riverbank, firm, composed, steady, not needing to fix her waters, only holding space for them to move freely, without judgment, without fear. But here's the tragedy. Most men were never taught how to hold space without retreating or reacting. When emotions rise, they flinch. When discomfort enters, they escape. Yet in ancient Stoic tradition, the highest form of strength was equanimity, stillness in the face of chaos. Epictetus taught that it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. When she's overwhelmed, it's not about having the perfect answer. It's about being the unmoved mountain beside her storm. Not silent and cold, but attentive and unwavering. But no one teaches this anymore. The world teaches performance. It teaches charm, manipulation, strategy. But these are the tools of the weak, not the wise. What she desires is your essence, not your effort. And so, we return to the wisdom of the ancients, who understood that a man's power lies not in how loudly he speaks, but in the depth of his silence, in how he can hold her chaos without becoming chaotic, how he can witness her fire without trying to put it out. When you walk into a room and your energy says, "I've got me," she feels, even if unconsciously, then he can hold me too. But when your presence wavers, when you seek her approval, or crumble at the weight of her emotion, she cannot relax, because now she must lead. And even if she does, it exhausts her spirit. This desire to be led from calmness and clarity is ancient. It's primal. It's not about patriarchy. It's about polarity. Masculine stillness invites feminine flow, the same way the moon invites the tides. But she'll never say this, because she's afraid of being seen as weak, needy, or dependent. She's been taught that asking for this is wrong. And so, she waits, hopes, feels into your presence, wondering if you'll notice. This is the first unspoken truth. And now, we move deeper. The second thing women desperately want, but will not tell you, is that they want to feel chosen again. And again, and again. She doesn't just want to be picked once and then forgotten, like a book placed neatly on a shelf. She wants to feel your conscious choosing of her in every small gesture. In the way your eyes return to her across a room, in the way you still reach for her hand, not out of habit, but intention. The Stoics taught of attention, not as a fleeting glance, but as a spiritual discipline. To pay attention is to revere. It is to acknowledge that the present moment, this person, this breath, is worthy of your full awareness. When you stop noticing her, when you grow complacent in your seeing, she doesn't feel safe. She feels invisible. And invisibility to a woman is a slow erosion of the soul. And again, she will not say this, because she fears rejection. She fears being labeled too emotional or too much. So she goes quiet, withdraws, begins to harden. And all the while, you think everything is fine, until she's gone. But it was never about grand gestures. She never needed diamonds or poetry. She needed your presence, your gaze, your remembering, the soft knowing in your touch that says, "I still see you. I still choose you. You are not forgotten." The ancient mystics knew this, that real love is a practice, not a performance, a returning, not a possession. Every day you rise and choose again. This is how love becomes devotion. Now stay with me, because the next two truths take us even further into what has been hidden from you and what she has longed for in silence. The third thing she wants you to do, but will never say aloud, is to stand in your truth, even when it opposes hers. This one cuts deep, because most men believe that agreeing, complying, or softening their truth is a sign of love. But in reality, it's a betrayal, not just of yourself, but of her trust in your strength. You see, a woman doesn't want to lead you, especially not spiritually. She wants to meet a man who knows who he is, even when the winds of her emotion test him. Especially then. She wants to feel your core, solid, immovable, not because it dominates her, but because it doesn't collapse beneath her. In the ancient Stoic texts, there is a forgotten virtue called fortitudo, fortitude, the courage to live by inner principles, not outer approval. This wasn't just courage in battle, but in conversation, in conflict, in love. When a man bends his truth to please, he becomes soft clay, malleable, uncertain. And while the world may praise his empathy, a woman's soul quietly mourns the loss of his spine. She will test you, not to manipulate, but to feel the boundaries of your conviction, to feel if your yes is sacred, if your no is real. Because if you cannot say no to her, you cannot protect her. If your truth folds in her fire, then it was never truth at all. It was fear dressed in affection. There's a sacred irony here. She wants to know she can't control you, because if she can't control you, she can finally surrender around you. And surrender is the deepest longing of the feminine. But surrender is not possible in the absence of trust, and trust cannot exist where truth is bent to avoid discomfort. She will never tell you this, because even she doesn't fully understand it. She might feel hurt when you speak your truth. She may cry, she may pull away. But deeper than the emotion is the respect that silently blooms inside her. He is whole. I can rest now. This is what the Stoics understood, that to live a virtuous life is not to live without love, but to live without deception, especially self-deception. Now, listen closely. The fourth and final thing a woman longs for, but will never voice, is your inner world. Not your stories, not your successes, but the hidden places, the ones you rarely show anyone, the fears, the wounds, the still bleeding truths, not poured out in emotional collapse, but shared in conscious vulnerability, offered with steadiness, not in search of saving, but in the name of intimacy. You've been told all your life to hide these places, to armor up, to speak only in facts, not feelings. But a woman, a conscious woman, is not looking for your perfection. She's aching for your realness. And again, this is ancient. The Stoics were not emotionless statues. They were emotional masters. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his private journals about his grief, his doubts, his heartbreaks. But he wrote with awareness, not reactivity. He didn't suppress, he transmuted. He didn't bleed, he revealed. This is what she wants, for you to let her see you, not fix you, to open the door to your inner sanctuary, not so she can change you, but so she can meet you there. Because when you share the parts of you that are still healing, you give her permission to soften too, to be fully herself, without masks, without roles, but she won't ask for this. Because most men weaponize vulnerability, or crumble in it, or offer it as a form of manipulation. She's been hurt by it before, so she waits, she watches, hoping that maybe this time you will be both strong and open, grounded and honest, stoic and human. And when you are, something ancient awakens between you. This is how love becomes alchemy. These four truths are not techniques, they are temples. Enter them not to get something, but to become something. To become a man worthy of being trusted, not just by her, but by your own soul. Now, shall we move into how to practice these truths in the real world? You now hold the map, but a map is useless without the journey. Knowing these four truths is only the beginning. The real transformation happens when you live them, when you breathe them into your words, your movements, your presence. So now we enter the realm of practice, where philosophy meets flesh, and ancient wisdom becomes embodied truth. Let's begin where all true change starts, stillness. Each morning, before the noise of the world comes rushing in, take 10 sacred minutes in silence. No phone, no music, Just breath and being, sit like a mountain, unshaken, let your thoughts pass like clouds. This is not meditation for relaxation. This is discipline, presence training, because if you cannot sit with your own discomfort, you will never hold space for hers. This is how the Stoics trained, not just through words, but through ritual. And this is your ritual. Every day return to the stillness. This is how you cultivate grounded certainty. Truth number 1. Not through bravado or charisma, but through stillness sharpened by repetition. And over time, this calm becomes your default. Your nervous system recalibrates, your presence deepens, and she feels it without a word. Now to practice truth number 2, choosing her again and again, you must reclaim the sacred art of attention. Here's a challenge. Once a day, do something intentionally just to witness her. Not to impress, not to seduce, just to see. Maybe it's the way her eyes move when she talks, the sound of her laughter, the way she adjusts her sleeves when she's nervous. Notice, and speak it. Say, "I noticed you did this today," and mean it. She'll say, "Thanks," but inside, her heart will exhale. Because what you just gave her was recognition, not of her beauty, but of her being. That is Stoic attention, silent reverence disguised as awareness. Truth number 3, standing in your truth, requires a different kind of practice, one that feels like fire. You must learn to speak your boundaries without anger. Your truth does not need to be wrapped in volume. In fact, the quieter your conviction, the more it pierces. So, speak clearly when something feels off. Do not wait until you're resentful. Do not explain excessively. A Stoic speaks not to dominate, but to align. A phrase you can use is this: "This matters to me. I don't need you to agree, I just need to be honest." Let that be your sword of stillness, sharpened, precise, honest. And now, to embody truth number 4, revealing your inner world, you must engage in radical self-reflection. Every evening, take 5 minutes to journal. Ask yourself, what did I feel today, and did I share any of it? If not, why? Then choose one safe moment each week to share something real, not a confession, a connection. Say, "I've been thinking about something that's been on my heart," and offer it slowly. Let her in, not all at once, but like opening a door that's been closed too long, a little light at a time. And if you're not in a relationship, practice with yourself first. Record voice notes, write letters, speak your truth into the mirror, become your own witness, so that when she appears, you're already fluent in the language of realness. These are not easy practices, but that's the point. This path is not for the faint-hearted. It's for the few who are tired of pretending, the few who feel the ancient ache for something deeper, something real. You don't just want her love, you want her surrender. And surrender cannot be demanded. It must be earned, through presence, through truth, through consistency. And slowly, she begins to trust. She opens. Not because you asked, but because your being called her safety forward. That is the power of the Stoic man. Not a warrior of stone, but of depth, calm, gravity. A man who does not just speak of virtue, but embodies it. This is your invitation, to stop chasing and start becoming, to stop seeking the feminine and start honoring it, to live not from ego, but essence, not from desire, but devotion. And in doing so, everything changes. And now, we return to the silence where this journey began. But you are no longer the same. You've seen behind the veil. You've heard the truths that few dare to speak aloud. Not because they're hidden, but because the world has forgotten how to listen. What women truly desire isn't complicated. It's ancient as fire, as instinctive as breath. But it's been buried beneath years of miscommunication, cultural conditioning, and fear, buried under masks and performances. And now, here you are, standing at the edge of that burial ground, not as a boy seeking approval, but as a man remembering his essence. Let's return, one last time, to those 4 truths. She wants to feel you grounded, rooted not in opinion, but in presence. She wants to feel your choice, made fresh with each sunrise, not left to fade behind routine. She wants your truth, not filtered, not diluted, but spoken cleanly, even when it stings. And she wants your inner world, not as a flood, but as a sacred offering, vulnerable yet unshaken. These are not tricks. These are not strategies. They are mirrors, reflecting the man you were always meant to be. And in this, we arrive at the paradox. The more you seek to get something from her, approval, affection, attention, the more she pulls away. But when you show up in your full presence, when you become a man devoted to being, not getting, she feels it on a soul level. Because true polarity doesn't begin in your body, it begins in your being. And this path you're on now, it doesn't end with this video, it deepens. Every day you'll be tested by her emotions, by your own fears, by the world pulling you into distraction. But each test is an initiation, a doorway to deeper strength, deeper clarity, deeper love. So rise. Let these teachings echo in your spine, not just in your mind. Let them shape your habits, your gaze, your touch. Let them guide you when the old patterns whisper that it's easier to withdraw, to dominate, or to please. And in those moments, remember this: you are not here to be perfect. You are here to be present. That alone is revolutionary. Now, if this message stirred something in you, leave a comment below. Tell them, world, I choose to lead with presence. Say it not just for me, but for yourself. Let it be your declaration. And if this spoke to your soul, don't just like this video, honor it. Tap that like button as a ritual, as a sign to the algorithm that men are ready for a different conversation, a deeper conversation, one that doesn't just stroke the ego, but awakens the heart. And finally, if you want to walk this path with others, to keep learning the sacred art of stillness, strength, and soulful connection, subscribe. This is not just a channel, this is a brotherhood, a sanctuary for men returning to the wisdom that was never truly lost, just waiting to be remembered. Until next time. Stay grounded, stay present, and stay true.